Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. If you're an NFL fan, you need to buckle up because the league just got hit with an absolute bombshell of a trade that's sending shockwaves through the entire football world. This isn't just your average offseason move. This is a game changer, a landscape-altering deal that's got everyone from Pittsburgh to Miami to Dallas buzzing with excitement, speculation, and straight-up disbelief. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Miami Dolphins have pulled off a blockbuster trade that's rewriting the script for the 2025 NFL season, and we're diving deep into every single detail of this massive shakeup. From star players swapping jerseys to draft picks flying back and forth, this trade is the kind of move that could define playoff races, reshape team identities, and set the tone for the rest of the offseason. So, grab your snacks, hit that like button, and let's break it all down. Let's start with the headline. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Miami Dolphins have executed a jaw-dropping trade involving some of the biggest names in the NFL. At the heart of this deal are three elite defensive backs, Micah Fitzpatrick, Jalen Ramsey, and John Johnson, with a handful of draft picks thrown in to sweeten the pot. When the news first broke, the chatter was all about Jalen Ramsey heading to Pittsburgh, but as the dust settled, we learned this wasn't just a one-for-one swap. Oh no, this is a multifaceted chess move, the kind of blockbuster we don't usually see in June. Typically, trades of this magnitude are reserved for the frenzy of July or August, when training camps are in full swing, but the Steelers and Dolphins decided to kick off the summer with a bang. This isn't just a trade, it's a statement, a bold declaration that both teams are all in for 2025. Let's unpack what each team is getting out of this deal. For the Miami Dolphins, they're walking away with Jalen Ramsey, a first-class cornerback who's arguably the best in the game at his position. Ramsey is the kind of player who can single-handedly change a team's coverage schemes the moment he steps onto the field. His ability to lock down top receivers, disrupt passing games, and bring a swagger to the secondary is unmatched. Miami's defense has been solid, but adding Ramsey gives them a cornerstone piece to build around. This move signals that the Dolphins are doubling down on their secondary, prioritizing elite coverage to counter the high-powered passing attacks in the AFC. With quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow dominating the conference, having a shutdown corner like Ramsey is a massive coup for Miami. They're clearly looking to make a deep playoff run, and Ramsey's presence could be the difference between a wild-card exit and a Super Bowl push. On the other side, the Pittsburgh Steelers are walking away with a haul that's just as impressive. They're getting Micah Fitzpatrick, widely regarded as one of the best safeties in the NFL, along with John Johnson and a 2027 fifth-round draft pick. For Pittsburgh, this trade is all about bolstering their secondary with veteran leadership and defensive flexibility. Fitzpatrick is a ball-hawking safety who can play multiple roles: deep coverage, in the box, or even as a slot defender. His instincts and playmaking ability are second to none, and he instantly becomes the anchor of Pittsburgh's defense. John Johnson, meanwhile, brings additional experience and versatility. His one-year, $11 million contract adds a proven veteran to the Steelers' backfield, and that fifth-round pick gives them some future flexibility to continue building their roster. This move shows Pittsburgh is all in on creating a defense that can compete with the AFC's elite, and they're not messing around. Now, let's talk about the broader implications of this trade, because it's not just the Steelers and Dolphins who are affected. This deal has sent ripples across the entire NFL, and one team that's feeling the impact in a big way is the Dallas Cowboys. For Cowboys fans watching this unfold, it's a bittersweet moment. Dallas was never realistically in the running for Jalen Ramsey, and this trade only confirms that. Ramsey's price tag was always going to be too steep for the Cowboys, who are dealing with some serious budget constraints. But here's the kicker. This trade didn't just move Ramsey out of reach, it reset his market value to an even higher level. Sources close to the deal say Ramsey's camp managed to secure a raise as part of the trade, a rare feat that shows just how valuable he is. For Dallas, this means they're officially priced out of the Ramsey sweepstakes, and they're now forced to pivot to other options in a cornerback market that's getting thinner by the day. Let's zoom in on the Cowboys' perspective, because this trade has major implications for their offseason strategy. Dallas has been looking for a veteran anchor to stabilize their secondary, and while they had shown interest in Micah Fitzpatrick in the past, this deal makes it clear they were never in serious contention. Pittsburgh's willingness to part with Ramsey and a draft pick to land Fitzpatrick and Johnson shows the kind of firepower Dallas couldn't match. With Fitzpatrick now in Pittsburgh and Ramsey in Miami, the Cowboys are back to square one, staring at a depth chart that's full of potential but lacking in proven talent. Their secondary is led by young players like Darren Bland, Savion Red, Kalen King, Andrew Booth, and Robert Rochelle, guys with promise, but not the experience to anchor a championship-caliber defense. The Cowboys need a veteran presence to balance out this raw talent, and this trade has made that need even more urgent. The Cowboys' secondary isn't the only area of concern. There's also a growing buzz about a potential move for linebacker C.J. Mosley, a 5-time Pro Bowler who could transform Dallas's defense. Mosley is the kind of player who brings leadership, instincts, and a commanding presence to the middle of the field. Since Sean Lee's departure, the Cowboys have lacked a true defensive field general, someone who can read the game, make split-second decisions, and elevate everyone around them. Mosley fits that bill perfectly. His experience would not only stabilize the linebacker core, but also allow Micah Parsons to focus on what he does best, wreaking havoc off the edge. Parsons is already one of the most dynamic pass rushers in the NFL, but having a player like Mosley in the middle would give him even more freedom to attack quarterbacks. The catch? Mosley's age and hefty contract are concerns, but sources suggest Dallas sees enough value in his leadership to justify the move. Why does this matter so much for the Cowboys? Because their defensive identity is at a crossroads. Under former defensive coordinator Dan Quinn and now Mike Zimmer, Dallas has built a unit that plays with intensity and aggression. But without a central leader to organize and communicate in real time, that intensity can sometimes feel chaotic. Mosley's ability to read the field, react instantly, and rally his teammates would give Zimmer a cornerstone piece to build around as training camp approaches. With the season just weeks away, the Cowboys can't afford to rely solely on their young players to step up. Rookies and second-year players like Bland, Red, King, Booth, and Rochelle have shown flashes of brilliance, but expecting them to carry the load against the NFL's best offenses is a risky bet. A veteran like Mosley or Gilmore would bring stability and accountability, allowing the younger players to develop without the pressure of being the primary playmakers. The urgency of this situation is amplified by the health concerns in Dallas's secondary. Trayvon Diggs, one of the Cowboys' top cornerbacks, is still recovering from knee surgery and is likely to miss at least the first few weeks of the season. Without Diggs, the Cowboys are leaning heavily on Darren Bland, who had a breakout year but can't do it all alone. The rest of the depth chart is filled with question marks, and the recent Steelers-Dolphins trade only highlights how far behind Dallas is compared to AFC contenders who are stacking their rosters with elite defenders. Teams like the Steelers, Dolphins, and even the Kansas City Chiefs are building defenses that can compete with anyone, while Dallas is still searching for answers. Adding a player like Mosley or Gilmore isn't just about filling a roster spot, it's about sending a message that the Cowboys are serious about contending in 2025. Let's talk about the bigger picture for Dallas, because this trade doesn't just affect their secondary, it impacts their entire offseason strategy. The Cowboys are at a critical juncture. Dak Prescott's contract, CeeDee Lamb's rising star status, and Micah Parsons' looming mega extension all point to a team that's approaching a financial tipping point. The window for a deep playoff run isn't wide open forever, and every move Dallas makes now could determine whether they're built for a Super Bowl push or destined to be just another regular season success story. Veterans like Gilmore or Mosley aren't about long-term rebuilds. They're about elevating an already competitive team to championship caliber right now. These kinds of players help teams weather the inevitable injuries and midseason setbacks that hit every contender. For Dallas, the goal isn't just to survive the first 6 weeks of the season, it's to thrive in November and December when the playoff picture starts to take shape. The Steelers-Dolphins trade has also forced every front office in the NFL to recalibrate their plans. For teams like the Carolina Panthers, Green Bay Packers, Las Vegas Raiders, and Los Angeles Rams, the cornerback market just got a lot more competitive. Miami might even jump back into the fray despite trading Ramsey away as they look to add depth to their secondary. For Dallas, the clock is ticking. Training camp is just weeks away, and decisions need to be made. Free agents are still available, and potential trades are still in play, but standing still is no longer an option. The race to compete at the highest level has already begun, and every roster move from this point forward will carry weight all the way to January. Let's take a step back and look at what this trade means for the NFL as a whole. The Steelers and Dolphins have set a new standard for blockbuster deals, showing that teams aren't afraid to make bold moves in the offseason to reshape their rosters. For Pittsburgh, landing Fitzpatrick and Johnson is a clear signal that they're building a defense capable of shutting down the AAFC's high-powered offenses. For Miami, Ramsey's arrival is a statement that they're ready to take on the best quarterbacks in the league. And for teams like the Cowboys, this trade is a wake-up call. The NFC is no slouch, with teams like the Philadelphia Eagles, San Francisco 49ers, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers all making moves to strengthen their rosters. Dallas can't afford to sit on the sidelines while their rivals load up. As we wrap up this deep dive, let's talk about what's next for the Cowboys. The offseason is heating up, and every move they make from here on out will be scrutinized by fans, analysts, and the rest of the NFC. A move for C.J. Mosley could be a game-changer, giving Dallas the defensive leader they've been missing. Pairing him with a veteran corner like Stephon Gilmore could solidify the back end and give Mike Zimmer the pieces he needs to build a dominant defense. But the Cowboys can't stop there. They need to address their depth issues, monitor Diggs' recovery, and make sure their young players are ready to step up when called upon. The Steelers-Dolphins trade has raised the stakes for everyone, and Dallas is no exception. So, what do you think, Cowboys fans? Are you excited about the possibility of landing C.J. Mosley or Stephon Gilmore? Or should Dallas focus on developing their young talent and saving cap space for the future? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get this conversation going. And if you're hyped about this blockbuster trade, make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our NFL coverage. The 2025 season is already shaping up to be a wild ride, and we're just getting started. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.